What's left of it, Ray? We're on the air.
Here comes.
Okay. Well, good evening. Welcome to the May 21st meeting of the Growth Planning Committee. And we'll start off, as always, with the introduction of members.
Warner Gilliam.
James McMahon.
Dan Saunders.
Barbara Barwise.
Jim Fitzgerald.
Janet Powell.
And Paul Hogan.
Okay, and we have, you may not see, but we don't have anyone in the audience, so there's lots of chairs. You're welcome to come on down and join us and provide your input. What's left of it, Ray? We'll start off with the minutes. Well, good evening. Welcome to the
Thank you, Barbara.
first meeting of the Growth Planning. Any discussion on this? And we'll start off, as always, with... Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Warner Gilliam.
James McMahon.
Dan Saunders.
Barbara
Thank you very
Barwise.
much.
Jim Fitzgerald.
Janet Powell.
And Paul
Okay,
Hogan.
second thing on the agenda is comments from guests, received mail, news from other committee board representatives. So there's lots of chairs.
No, not at this time, but I will just, thank Dan and Jim for,
We'll start off with the
and Barbara
minutes.
for having been here and participated for the
Thank you,
village
Barbara.
parcel
Any
steering
discussion on
committee
the
meeting that was just happened
Okay, all in favor?
15 minutes ago, just wrapped up, so thanks for participating and, hope everybody kind of stays in touch with that, with that group as it kind of
Okay,
moves
second
forward.
thing on the agenda is comments from
And
guests.
watches kind of the
received mail,
evolution
news from other committee board representatives.
of the planning process for that piece, so.
No,
I
not
think
at
it's,
this time.
it's an exciting thing to watch, and I think, what we'll have ultimately is we'll have a good document and a plan that, I think is gonna dovetail really well into the comprehensive plan at that point, We've got a couple of really good, strong supporting documents that, I think are gonna, are gonna be really good for the comp plan, so, hope everybody kind of stays in
And I
touch
know when
with
Warner
that,
said
with
that,
that
everyone,
group
he
as it
meant
kind of
everyone
moves
in
forward.
the audience that's watching on TV. To stay in tune, the information is on the town's website on when those meetings will be. They certainly are looking
Exciting
for
thing to
everyone's
watch, and I
input.
think, what we'll
Are
have
those,
ultimately is
was
we'll
that
have
meeting
a
broadcast
good
this afternoon? Or
Yes.
available?
Yep.
Yes.
It dovetails really well into.
And they really want everyone's input, so it's on us as citizens to make sure we stay involved when we want to see change and how it's managed.
It's going to be really good. Yeah, so the schedule's also been laid out on the website,
I know when Warner said
the
that,
steering
everyone can
committee has its own,
even on the audience
has-
is watching out.
I don't want to say its own page, but it has its own section of the website that has all of the, all of the upcoming meetings are on the site and on the calendar, so
Are those,
there'll be a couple
is that
of
meeting broadcast?
visioning sessions, for the public to participate in. We'll get into
They really
kind of
want everyone's input.
literal nuts and bolts as far as
Us
what,
as citizens to
how land
make
uses
sure we
might
stay
be
involved
arranged
and
on
we
the,
see
on the
change
property
and
and things like that, so.
where the
So
public
schedule will also be
kickoff,
on the website,
what's the date and time of that? I
The
think
steering committee has its own.
in the,
Kickoff is on the 30th.
and what time of day though?
I believe that's in the evening.
6 o'clock?
Yes.
And is there something at 4 though, the same day?
Then what we also have is we've got a Saturday date for the visioning session.
No, the same, maybe I got confused by the email. It looked like the email said 6 o'clock, but then it showed items starting at 4. So,
Yeah.
Start at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
okay, where did the public
Yeah, we
kickoff?
sent them, we did
What's
send
the
a
date and time
revised
of
one
that?
out.
I think
Yeah.
in the,
Kickoff is on the 30th.
and what time of day though?
I believe that's in the evening.
6 o'clock?
And our
Dave,
audience is
you
back in
like
the back,
to-
we can answer, so thank you.
Then what we also have is we've got a Saturday date for the most well-educated man in town.
No, the same,
always gotta
maybe
be.
I got. And did they have, were there various groups there today? 6 o'clock,
Yes,
but then it showed
we were there, the
items starting
Conservation
at
Trust
4.
was there, and the planning board.
They have specific questions for you? How did it go?
There was a list of about 8
Yeah,
questions
we
that
sent
they
them, yeah, we
reviewed.
did send a
Went around the
revised
table and asked each of us, the same question all around.
Right.
the other answers,
Just-
couple of drafts.
Which, a lot of similarities. Thanks, Dave. In the responses.
And our audio.
Dave,
video
use your
tech in the
microphone.
back with the
Went
answers.
pretty well. And that's, it's an interesting parcel,
Man who
the
knows
line between the village.
most well-educated
and
man
also,
in town.
Enterprise
And did they have, were there various groups there today?
requirements, but
Or
yes, everything is on
we were
paper.
there, the
and
Conservation
therefore
Trust
paper
was
can be changed,
there,
obviously with the
they have specific questions
the
for
town's
you?
vote.
How did it
There
go?
was a
So,
list of
I
like
think
questions.
they were trying to get us to think pretty open.
And went around the table and asked each of us, it's the same question. we all had
Right.
Based on what we feel may be
A
current
lot of
restrictions.
similarities in the responses.
But the idea of a 35-story building was quickly tossed out.
Went pretty well. So, yeah, it's, It's interesting parcel,
You didn't even really get a rise out of anybody.
No.
No?
You know,
free enterprise. We have our current, knew that was just a pipe dream, but everything is on paper, and therefore paper
Okay.
can change. Obviously,
So next is number 3, comprehensive plan update process. So the review and discussion of the final
trying to get some
RFP.
things pretty open. Everybody's giving us all a copy. Write down.
yes, at our last meeting, I distributed a draft of the RFP for our comprehensive plan update. Took a lot of your all's comments into consideration, did some revisions, to the RFP. Also sent it to Lori, had her take a look over it, and she also had some additional comments, incorporated those
Review and discussion.
into the document. So what you have here, I'm hoping should be, will be the final version, with, maybe some minor tweaks, to it as far as the RFP. One of the things that, that she suggested and I incorporated in was just, I updated some of the dates, as far as the project schedule. Also sent it to Lori. At this stage, once, I think, once the committee is comfortable with this RFP, we'll probably put it out, so what you have here, so that we can, start, giving consultants opportunity to put together minor tweaks bids for this, to it as far as the RFP.
Hey, Warner, what's the, I was a little confused by one thing. The statement of qualifications, and then the point after that, it said, the qualification statement must not include cost information.
Which page?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at page 6.
Okay. The committee is comfortable with this RFP. We'll probably put it out, immediate, so that we can start. Yeah, so what I'm just reiterating there is that, within the qualification statement, we're really just looking to separate out the costs,
The statement of
the price
qualifications,
proposal,
and the point after that.
into a separate document.
The qualification
And
statement
what
must
we
not
really want to
include
see is, we
cost
want to see their proposal.
Which page? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm
absent the
looking at
price.
page 6.
And primarily in the hopes that, as we're looking at that we make our judgment, calls based on the proposal that we think is the best proposal. What I'm just reiterating not necessarily focused on what the price is. Now, with that being said, we've provided the budget number, and it's a matter of public record, so,
Right.
if somebody comes in and says, we'll do this for $135,000, clearly they didn't read, they didn't read this request. So, but that's really all that statement is, kind of reiterating.
So the whole thing gets reviewed in the abstract without regard to cost, and then cost comes in at a,
That's correct. We just have it as a separate document.
Got it.
Proposal that we think is the best proposal, not
Thank you.
necessarily focused on what the price is. Now, with that being said, we've provided the budget number, but it's a matter of public record, so,
Right.
somebody comes in and says, came from a good document for $135,000.
There you go.
Clearly they didn't read,
So I apologize since I wasn't here last time. We may have covered it then, but in
that's
the
really all that
second
statement
sentence
is,
where
kind
it
of
states that
reiterating.
so the whole thing gets reviewed in the abstract without regard to cost, and then cost comes in at a,
That's correct. We just have it as a separate document.
Got it.
Yep.
thank you.
Well, so the state specifically gives, well, they give the recommendation to do the updates every 10 years, and so once you get beyond 10-year timeframe, then at that point in time, technically, you're not consistent anymore.
So I apologize since I wasn't here last time. I may have covered it then, but in the second
Right,
sentence, so
yeah.
if it's a
Yeah.
shall, then it's,
Yeah, no, it's a valid question, I think that
if it's at 2022 that are.
generally speaking, I would say that's probably a should. I think the further you get beyond that, it starts to become a shall, especially as it relates to, if you're, well, they give the if you're putting forward proposals, and you're referencing, so once you get beyond 20 years old, then the chances of that being taken seriously as a consistent current comp plan are going to be pretty slim. I think that, if we're a year or two beyond that, no, it's a valid question. I think that we're probably fine. Generally speaking, I would say that's probably a should. You know, I think the further you get beyond that, you know, it starts to become a shall, especially as it relates to, you know, if you're, you know, if you're putting forward proposals and you're referencing a comp plan that's 20 years old, you know, the chances of that being taken seriously as a consistent and current comp plan are gonna be pretty slim, you know. I think that, you know, if we're a year or two behind that, and in the grand scheme of it, I don't know that sentence really adds, you know, doesn't add much to the, you know, to the overall RFP, other than if that gives us a little bit of doomsday.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we have that reference somewhere else that we want to meet that. Because it's requirement, so, yeah, I suggest we just like that sentence, not so much this.
Sure.
I would restate it, so, I mean, they need to know that it was adopted in 2012. That's the-
Yes, okay. I wonder maybe we can rewrite that.
So,
If it's not a shall,
but the next sentence after that
pull out that.
kind of says it again, so you can combine
Just-
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can do that. I
Maybe
can,
maybe strike
you know,
the
I can
sentence.
strike the, and that's, and in the grand language, but make sure that it references the fact that our plan was last adopted, you know, to the overall RFP, other than kind of gives us a little bit of a doomsday.
Yeah, I
thought.
mean, maybe we have that reference somewhere else that we want to meet that
Yep.
requirement, so, yeah, I suggest we just strike that sentence.
I would restate it, so, I mean, they need to know that it was adopted in 2012, that's the.
Yes, okay.
Read it, or
So,
Well-
but the next sentence after that
2 hours to use up?
kind of says it again, so you can combine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can do that.
That's why he sent it to us
You
3
read it,
days.
for record, please?
He sent it 3 days ago.
Make sure that it references the fact that our plan was last adopted.
Right.
Did this get
Exactly.
reviewed by an attorney or anything yet?
Meeting that, right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
There's an extra space on page 3, if you wonder that. Between the 1, 2,
Oh, yep, yep,
Got
there
some
you go,
spacing issues
on the
there.
bullet point there,
Time
yep.
to just reread it, or?
I don't want them to think that you won't expect
We got
better
2
from
hours.
them.
That's right. Yeah, I could
No,
read
that's
the
why he
entire
sent it to us
Can you
3
read the
days.
time for record, please?
He sent it 3 days ago.
Similarly critical. Whole thing into the record. Anything like that.
Right.
Did this get
Exactly.
reviewed by an
Any
attorney?
other qualifications, if there's spelling errors in it, or,
There's an extra space.
yeah,
on
or anything
page
like
3,
that,
if you wonder
that's,
Between the 1, 2.
oh, yep, yep,
Got
there
some
you go,
spacing issues
on the
there.
bullet point there, yep.
I
Yeah,
don't want
in
them to
fact,
think that
usually my
you won't
process
expect
when I
better
do
from
this,
them.
I wind up, I'll, you know, obviously get it done in Word.
No, it's a
But
good
then,
point, you know,
the final critique is always a paper copy. You know,
Similarly
print it off
critical
and then
when
just
looking
there
at,
and
like,
read it,
resumes
you know,
or anything like
as a
that,
paper
you know,
copy,
that-
just to see what it actually
Any
looks
other
like in the end.
qualifications, if there's
Old school,
spelling
word
errors in
paper
it, or,
Go through it for you?
Yep.
No.
yep, or anything like that.
I haven't used
that's,
Clippy in years.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, usually my process when I do this, I wind up, I'll, you know, obviously get it done in Word.
Yeah.
But then, the final critique is always a paper copy, you know, to print it off and then just sit there and read it, you know, as a paper copy, just to see what it actually looks like in the end.
Never have the little old school Word paper.
So these dates are all good, they stay
No.
on schedule, but we can get to
I
the.
haven't used Clippy in
Well,
years.
and all that within those timeframes. You think?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I mean,
Okay.
some of them I, you know, was specific with dates. You know, some of them were, you know, were more general, just because I want to give, you know, we want to give a certain level of flexibility. Sure. Yeah, I mean, the only specific one that I, you know, that we knew we were going to have was going to be
So
the public
These dates are
hearing,
all
you know,
good,
the official
they
public
stay on
hearing in
schedule, we can
2020.
get to get on selectmen approval and all that within those timeframes, you think?
Yeah, I think
So the Board
so.
of
You know, I
Selectmen
mean,
would have to be on the docket
some of them
basically the
I,
last meeting in
you know,
July.
was specific with dates.
August
You
8th,
know, and some of them were, you know, were more general, just because I want to give, you know, we want to give a certain level of flexibility. Yeah.
So to be able to give them approval, get their approval before we issue.
Yeah, I mean, the
notice of
only
award.
specific one that I, you know, that we knew we were going to have was going to be the public
Yep.
hearing, you know, the official
You're
public
missing
hearing.
just a little bit of
2020.
punctuation on your dates as
Uh-huh.
well.
Okay, yep. Yeah, I'll look those over, make
So
sure
the
those are
Board of Selectmen,
consistent.
we would have to be on the docket, basically the last meeting in July,
Do you need a motion on this?
or is August 8th,
I don't know that I necessarily need a motion, but,
Okay.
you know,
because they're on
You know,
the
if-
second and fourth.
just knowing that, that you all are satisfied with the content of it, works for me.
You're good.
Thank you,
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're missing just a little bit of punctuation on
And then once we start getting proposals in, as kind of per the specs that we've put out, I'll be looking for volunteers to,
Need a motion
to be
on
on
this?
the interview group. I think we have in here. I don't know that I necessarily need a motion, but, some representation from growth planning. Just knowing that, that you all are satisfied with the content of it, I think works for me. And so if that's something that you're interested in, just start thinking about that. The other thing, would. And then once we start getting proposals in, questions, that we might, put forward. Kind of per the specs, the other thing we put out would. And then once we start getting proposals in, questions, to be on the interview, as kind of per the specs, the other thing we put out, and then once we start getting proposals in, questions, to be on the interview, as kind of per the specs. Yeah, so what I want to do is I'll make those changes. Changes that are sentence, the spacing, kind of per the specs. Yeah, so what I want to do is I'll make those changes that say tomorrow, that'll be a public document that'll get sent out, and, we've got, some firms that I know that do this, we'll send it out to, but we'll also wind up posting this, through Maine Municipal.
Okay.
That's where, we put a lot of our RFPs for this type of thing, wind up going out through Maine Municipal. We'll also wind up posting this, through Maine Municipal.
Okay.
What would
That's
be
where, we put a lot of our RFPs for
typical
this type of thing.
in terms of, with the person or persons actually, like the lead staff on this? Obviously, there's a partner in the firm who's, goes out and makes the pitch. Are the people
Some firms
who
that I know
are
that do
likely
this,
to
we'll
work the
send it out
accounts
to, but we'll also
be part of the
we'll also
interview?
wind up
so
posting
you
this.
get to-
Yes. And it's a good question to ask, and it's a common question that we ask, is that, whenever whoever shows up for the interview, we want to know if that's who we're actually going to be working with, as opposed to, having the principal of the consulting firm show up, and then we wind up with the intern.
Yeah.
We want to know, and that is a preference of ours, is that we actually, that they bring along whoever they're going to, whoever
Do we say that
actually be liaising.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've said that in here, but that's a good point.
I guess it's the project manager,
Yeah.
Right.
the proposed project manager.
Yeah.
To attend the interview.
Just say resumes and personnel.
Yeah, but that's, there might be
That's just
12
something-
people in the firm, and
it's
they give
just
you the whole,
paper.
and they give you the 12 resumes.
Right,
But-
right. It's the lookbook.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I can put that in there as well. And sometimes they'll just, what I expect to see is that, you may have a lead, that's gonna work, the public participation piece of it, but then you also may have a technical partner, that might not necessarily be a part of the interview, but that'll be referenced in there. For instance, I would expect maybe that, for some of the mapping work, might be a different technical consultant, that might not necessarily be a part of the interview piece.
I think personally working on somebody else's, I mean, to be honest with you. I mean, the technical part, I'd be less concerned, I'd be more concerned about the person that's gonna be doing the engagement with the public and how they are.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we get the info out of the public that we're looking for.
Right.
Draw it out.
Okay.
Good. Again, thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, so next on the agenda is the final review of survey presentation for selectmen. So, thank you, Paul, for doing this work for us. Looked at it before and decided to look at it one more time last night. And I thought maybe, trying to see what changes I made. I just took, I think, one of the bullet items in the background I think the last one was kind of combined in one, and I just made it into two. A little bit to fill the page, make it a little consistent with the other ones, but also to highlight, the conforming to state requirements to meet as kind of a separate need, besides just guiding how our town is planning decisions. And I thought it might be good to have a participation page about who it was we got their surveys back from, and on the responses. So, I mean, I basically just copied the wonderful article that Warner wrote for us, because I wasn't able to do so, on the town crier.
Just came out.
Newsletter,
Yeah.
back page. I don't know why it was on the front page, but back page. So, thank you, Warner.
Yeah,
So I went back through and re-verified that the numbers were correct based on this, at least we're consistent.
Yep, that's
So,
right.
that was good.
That's right, as long as we're consistent. Yep.
Added a little more in the breakdown of the surveys. Of course, I won't read through all that. But the other kind of point I thought was interesting was that, 58% of these folks said they watched it on cable access. Of these 488 people that responded. And that was a pretty decent number that actually watch on either frequently or occasionally, so I thought I'd highlight that. So at least these are people that are somewhat engaged, right? And more than 80% do something to get information from the town.
Yeah.
Right?
It
So,
begs the question whether a board like ours should have an email open during a meeting for people to send in questions, since people are watching on TV, they're obviously interested,
yeah,
but not enough to come down because there's not a, important pressing issue.
sure.
But if we're in the middle of talking about something, if there was a way for the secretary to,
Send an email or text.
just announce at the beginning of the meeting, if you have any questions or comments during the meeting, just send them
Because
to
no, I mean, we have so much.
bar at.
No.
Yep.
I think that was something that we had discussed a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Back like in 2007, and it was just how we, to now today, with you get the board right there, we could all read it,
Right.
right? So
Yeah, I don't know if it could come in on that. Could it come in on that?
should be able to. You think?
Yeah, if we have, yeah, I mean, if you set up a separate account, you could have a separate,
Just-
you could have a separate Outlook account, that sounds
Yeah,
good.
Gmail account for,
That's good.
town account for.
Yeah, yeah, in the grand scheme, honestly, that's, setting up a Gmail account is a lot easier than
Yeah.
trying to mess with another
Right.
Outlook account.
And have to monitor it.
Yeah.
If it's public record.
That's right.
You have to do it in Outlook though, or whatever your mail server is.
Yeah, so I mean, we get into some of the
It's not
technicalities of
hard,
that
it's
piece.
not hard, but
No,
It's a good idea.
So as long as one of us has a laptop, we
Right.
could
yeah.
easily
Right.
glance at it now and then.
Okay.
Yeah, now, on another note, what I often hear from folks is that, they watch the reruns.
Right.
So the reruns that happen during the day, I think, is where we get a lot of our viewership as well. Because oftentimes there are folks that don't realize that it's a rerun.
And you get the call.
Right? You don't think that we're meeting at, 3 in the afternoon or something, and don't necessarily
Ah,
get that,
interesting.
that it was a rerun.
But they can still send an email in.
Absolutely.
That we can take as an
Absolutely.
follow-up to the next meeting.
Yep.
right? Or follow up with.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, if
That's
we get
true.
thousands of emails, we may not be able to follow up on all of them.
maybe we could
Yeah.
have on our agenda.
Such a problem to
I'd
have.
like to have that problem, though. I'd like to have that problem.
Right.
Okay.
Number 2 would definitely be film.
Okay. So that was what the participation, so that's all I was trying to do there, just to show what we had in participation. Didn't make any changes to these slides. All good with me. And then the next two was really the same information, I just tried to expand it, so I'm supposing that it's gonna be shown for the public on this. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that at least it would be large enough for them to read the questions, so that's why I broke it out across 2 slides.
Good thought.
And I just put the question number first to kind of introduce each topic.
Do we have the handout for them? Abby's nice little document she gave us, which has all the detail.
The 67-page,
It's not that big, is it? I don't have it with me tonight.
yeah, it's pretty big. I don't know how many pages that was.
But it has, like, if I'm interested, if I was looking at 24,
What the information was.
I didn't exactly say what the real question was. I just tried to, so I would want them to have the backup.
Yeah. I don't know, how many people do you think would be a lot of paper?
It's just Board of Selectmen, 5 people.
Yeah.
Well, the Board of Selectmen for sure, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Oh, I
about.
thought about for everyone.
No, I'm just talking about the Board of
Oh, the
Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, I think we can have,
We can have that available.
we can have that, we can have that available.
Details.
Process-wise, they like to have that information, prior to the meeting, about a week in advance, but I mean, for this presentation, I don't think that's a big deal. And you said that was a document that Abby had put together.
Yeah, sent that out in like January, and December or January. January, I think, was the last update or something.
December
December?
2018.
Yeah, that's it.
Mhm.
Double-sided.
Oh, it is double-sided. 74 pages double-sided.
Oh, it's that big.
Yeah.
Quickly we forget.
So, and then the other change I made was, we originally had 4 slides here, and I took out the last one, which had to do with elderly housing, senior housing.
Uh-huh.
Because that number, when I added the two together, was just over 50%. Whereas these other were consistently, it was less than 50%, kind of on the favorable side. the
Uh-huh.
increase. So I didn't want to just throw that in and then figuring one of them asked the question, how'd you come up with that number and, 'cause I don't think there was, I thought there was enough, it was a fairly large, agree, strongly agree was a little bit lower, but it kind of stood right out. So I didn't think there was, I thought there was, this is kind of showing where there's some not real clear direction.
Right.
I thought that kind of showed a little more clear direction towards providing some type of senior housing, so.
So do we cover that anywhere then?
It's, it didn't raise itself up to be, other than in the housing.
Yeah, it was lower than affordable housing and housing for young families, I remember.
But if you kind of control affordable housing and housing for young families and senior housing into one, it'd be,
Oh, it is mentioned on,
yeah, in the
That's-
third slide.
yeah, in that, okay.
That's top
As long
right.
as it's there someplace.
Yeah,
With a representative number.
and it would certainly be, if you, like I said, you put affordable housing and people who respond to the housing for young families and senior housing all together as a housing topic,
Right.
it'd be certainly the second. It's amazing how the environment is so much greater. I wonder if that question would have been like that 20 years ago. We would've asked that. Well, we did ask that, but it wasn't.
Yeah, we did, but no,
Wasn't
I
asked the same way.
No.
It's part.
And I don't think so. I mean,
I don't have.
we weren't nearly into the climate change and the rise in sea
Right,
level.
right.
Right, and we hadn't messed up the plan so much.
No,
20
no,
years.
we had 20 years experience in it.
So I think it needs to be a little less work construction.
Yeah.
She's got that, I don't have that here. I thought I was looking for the data, but it was, doesn't matter. I'll know it when I get asked. On Thursday. Okay, and then on slide 36, I highlighted down in yellow. I was a little concerned about calling out a specific developer. And thought maybe we could I found another kind of statement in there that too much overall growth ruining the very character that people flock here to see, which I think was kind of on the same topic as what that one was, without changing somebody's quote. I mean, the other thought I had was make sure developers,
Don't change.
doesn't change the town more than it already has, but that was my, that's why I put it in yellow, for us to have a discussion here.
Okay.
So I may have to take that out and change what I actually presented to the.
Well, it was there very frequently.
Oh,
Yeah,
It was a very common,
It's, it's a common discussion.
It's a common discussion.
It truly is.
Yeah, so, I mean, my view was, everybody talks about it. Everybody took the time to state that, so if we mentioned it once, it wasn't going to.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with, I mean, you're reporting the results of the survey, you know, and I think it's, you know, it's I would say there's a, when I hear folks talk, there's a difference between, you know, what they call development,
Yeah.
which tends to be categorized more in housing
Housing.
development, you know,
Exactly.
versus, you know, what they see kind of the operations of the resort collection, and, you know, to me, that's almost more, I would say, character-based to some level, you know, it's the, you know, we've got a hotel that, you know, I don't know, maybe it used to be, you know, $100 a night, now it's $250 a night, you know, or whatever, or $900 a night. But it's a little bit different than the development question.
Yes,
Yeah, it is.
No, it's
Absolutely.
totally different, yeah.
Absolutely. And people,
Or even the growth question, you know, I mean, most folks characterize growth with subdivisions, you
Right.
know, as opposed to, I would say the re-imaging of the hospitality
sure.
industry. If that's a correct way to say that.
I mean, I know it was noted a lot of times in there,
Oh, yeah.
but it was one of 400,
Well,
right? And
yeah.
we're choosing as a committee to take out this,
Yeah.
which puts us in the position of saying, you know, honestly, I think puts us in the position of saying, we agree with them that that developer is a problem. And I'm not sure I want to say that.
I prefer, I mean,
So that's why I wanted to find something that talks to the issue.
I mean,
No.
here's one of the, you know, and I'll speak frankly about that. I don't know how you deal with that. Because one, it's not I mean, you can't prevent any one particular entity from buying property, you know, in that particular sense, you
No.
know. And I'm not really addressing the question of whether you put it in here or not, but it's just the, you know, so you identify, you know, something that's an issue for folks, but yet, you know, I tend to think, all right, so what's the solution to that? Well, I'm not sure what kind of a solution you come up with. You know, hotels are allowed to charge what they want to charge, you know, that's going to be kind of set by the market, you know, and as long as there's a market that is willing to pay that, you know, those prices will continue to be what they are. You know, the same thing when there's, you know, you see over promotion of Kennebunkport, you know, I mean, a lot of times I think folks think we have a lot more authority than we really
Oh,
have.
yeah.
You know, in terms of,
Let
you
them do
know,
it.
advertising, you know, folks are upset at the, you know, the advertising, you know, of the community and how the community often gets marketed. You know, in that sense. So that's something that, you know, we have very little, if any, control over, you know, in terms of what happens, you know, in the media. I mean, you know, these are, to some degree, these are constitutional rights as well, you know, in terms of, you know, what folks are able to say. So, I hear what folks say, but I don't necessarily know how much of a solution that you have.
That's it.
How much power you have over, you know, over that.
And
I don't think you really do.
and success always creates criticism.
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't know, what was it 30 years ago, Barbara? You know, I mean, 30 years ago before KRC, it was probably a
Well, we
different,
used
a
to talk
different
about
entity.
Phil's Beechwood. Every year you came up, there was another motel. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, same old, same old.
yeah. Yeah, it was a different entity a generation ago, you know, that, yeah, I mean, as I go through old minutes of different things, I mean, Laurie Bongiorno's name was tossed around so many times, it was
Absolutely.
unreal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's just it's a different
It's a,
generation.
yeah, new name,
It's a new name.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably best to take it out. I mean, if the comments are gonna continue, or the sentiment, or however people feel about the feedback, it will remain, and it's probably best not to pinpoint. They're conducting free enterprise just like anybody else, they
Right.
just have a different
Not
set
everybody.
of ways they conduct business, and it's clearly successful and they do it a certain way. And
Absolutely.
Some developers are just a little more out there than others.
And I would have no problem if we put all 400 of them out there. And that's just
Yeah.
what people say. But
There you go.
this is, we're kind of picking and choosing what we want to share. And
Yeah.
that's my only concern
Yeah.
with having that specifically
Yeah,
listed.
my concern, I understand, is there, I mean, maybe look at the other comments that are going to the same point and see if there's a better way.
Well, that's what the one underneath wasn't there originally, the yellow one. That's what I picked. I mean, it may not be the best one, maybe there's another one. But I thought that was, what I thought the first one was saying
But
is that.
that doesn't reflect, again, I think Werner is right when people think of growth. Like, we don't have 20 new hotels, we have
Right.
15 new subdivisions in the past,
Yeah.
20 years, and people think of that as growth. Fancifying hotels and
Well,
making,
what if I strike out too much growth? I mean, I think that what I was trying to point there was not so much the growth, but that we're ruining, things are changing, and it's ruining the character that people flock here to see. So by building this thing that's gonna attract these people, we're actually destroying
Right.
what's attracting these people.
How I hear it described, some folks would say, it's kind of a natural improvement of the hospitality, industry here in town, but I think really what it is it's, on one hand it's improvement, but to some degree it's also a gentrification of it,
Yeah.
because it's being brought to, I would say, a higher level.
Oh, yeah.
It's being, what you tend to see tends to cater to a higher income bracket.
It's going after the money. That's what it's
That's
doing.
right. It's
That's all.
going
It's
after
going
the money,
money.
which is
If they
market
didn't
driven.
like it, they wouldn't come.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's going after the money.
But,
Yeah.
but that's the thing when when I hear people say what they don't like, that's it more has to do with I think the economics of it. The fact that I don't know, maybe a burger.
The price of everything is going up.
That's right. The
Right,
burger,
but
burger now costs $20
words,
instead of
they-
15.
Because of development, the price of everything else is going up.
Yeah.
But I think it just goes back to that's a specific, that particular company has a target market and they have a certain way that they're trying to brand themselves. That's a business that they chose to do and,
Sure. Yeah.
that has,
Smart
they're
business.
trying to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If we had somebody that wanted to do something smaller like food trucks and they were successful and it's a different target market.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to justify it here and there or there, but I mean, like what Dan said, too much overall growth. If we're trying to emphasize certain issues, if it's too much tourism or whatever, I mean, we can put something in parentheses that kind of gets to your point without pinpointing that one particular business, even though I agree with you that if it's a rise a lot, it's gonna continue to arise and people are gonna talk about it, but does it make sense, like Dan said, to say, we're gonna put that in specifically, and some people will get the impression that, like you said, that we all have a vested interest in not
Yeah.
liking it, I guess.
I don't know if I have a copy of that.
yeah, I was looking for it to, I can't find it offhand. Do you have it there, Barbara?
I may.
Was the one that you added, was that an actual comment, or you were just trying to
No,
recharacterize?
well, it was an actual comment. They kind of went into another,
Hey,
there was
you
another
want-
segment of the question.
There's a lot of comments.
But I did thank you.
I'm sure
That's
we
why I
can,
put the 3 bullets. I didn't think it added to what I was. Should have wrote down the number. It would have been a lot easier to find.
Yeah.
what was the date of that?
December.
December 2018, but
I don't think I.
it was like the end of the month. End of the month that she
I
sent it
got it.
out.
I think I got it.
Yeah, I think I got some right here. I think I got,
So one of the comments that I think kind of describes it, I mean, it's a long comment, and I don't know how you kind of break it down. It was on page 16. It says, the amount and pace of development, residential high-income housing communities, as well as the purchase and updating of local restaurants and other entertainment facilities is too much and too fast. There needs to be a long-term vision for Cape Port with checks in place to make sure the town doesn't become the Hamptons, not only pricing out many locals who've been here for generations, but also ruining the quaint seaside village character that has described this community for centuries. Again, really long description, but I think
That goes to change in character of the
Right.
community.
Yep.
That people are not comfortable with.
What was that one? What page was that one?
That was page 16.
16, 60?
16.
16.
Or at least it's 16 on the packet I have here.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
that was the act, yeah. Okay.
A few people refer to the Disneyfication of the area. I've just seen that 3 times.
Mhm. Oh,
That's another way to describe.
Can I mention the other?
Unfortunately, I kind of took it out of the middle of the.
yeah, what about combining it somehow
No.
to say, just make sure that change doesn't ruin the very
Yeah,
character
that's all it
that
was.
people
Oh,
flock
okay.
here to see?
Okay.
We can tweak that.
What's that?
Make sure that change doesn't ruin the very character the people of the town that people flock here to see. Make sure the change of the town.
Here's one. I'll leave out the name, but it says the second part of the comment is too upscale. We're losing our charm as a seaside spot for the average person. Seems to cater to the wealthy.
Yeah, that would work, with leaving out
Yeah.
the initial.
Yeah.
That word, the one word you use, upscale, do something,
That's-
upscale
yeah,
versus
everyone's
local,
gonna
flat,
know.
local,
Yeah.
upscale versus local,
Well, I want to use their comments because that's what we're
Yeah.
representing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
because I meant something.
We're not here to edit it.
No, that's a good one.
We can leave out something. I
Right.
feel comfortable doing that, but I don't feel
Yes.
comfortable.
Yeah, no, I.
So this just says, this is comment 176.
Thank you.
It's capital 2, T-O-O in large letters. Upscale, we're losing, we're losing our charm as a seaside spot for the average person. And seem to cater to the wealthy.
That one gets right to this.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that captures it.
That
Yeah,
works.
that works.
I like it, thank you. So what I'll do is I'll take both those yellow comments out and I'll put in, starting from 2.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you much.
Okay.
And I'll send that to Lisa.
okay.
Yeah.
Now remember what number you're using.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that was the only question I had on those. The rest of them are fine. Just next steps, I think the first bullet I changed a little bit, that we will be incorporating into the updated comprehensive plan. Best practices for communicating and implementing the comprehensive plan, so there's both, I think that communicating part, which I was trying to, what I'm really kind of referring to is the look of the plan itself and how it's communicated to everyone.
Yeah.
Ours is a book versus something that jumps out at you,
Yep.
gives you the information with a glance,
Right.
because that's all we have is a glance now for time.
So on the last one, Werner has June 2020, you have June 2021.
Oh, did I change that?
Always trying to buy us time, man.
Absolutely.
Well, 2022, I figured was the time, right? 10 years.
Neither that.
All right, I'll put 2020.
Doesn't mean that we don't get involved in a robust public discussion.
For sure.
Right.
Very good, thank you. So I'll make those 2 changes and I'll send out a new copy. If anyone has any other changes to the files. Very good, thank you much.
Well, that begs the question, let's say the process gets dragged out for some reason, as the consultants, you know, we're out at 2020 and we're going into the middle of the year. How does that work with, in terms of our compensation of a consultant when he's in it for a half year longer than he thought he was going to be in it for? Who knows what reason? Maybe he was a bad consultant. Maybe community had lots of concerns. You know,
Yeah.
many things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, well, I mean, you know, we saw it in this community. I mean, you had, you know, the 2003 and you had the 2005 versions of the comp plan, both with, you know, neither one of which passed, and, you know, that the town had hired consultants to help develop.
In terms of our
I mean,
compensation
it happened.
of a consultant,
And
when
so-
he's in it for a half year longer than.
You know, in terms of process, I think, you know, we would evaluate what the consultant has done, you know, with their proposal, and if they followed the scope of their proposal, you know, then, you know, they've done what we asked them to do. Now, you know, I think if we wind up with a lot of public outcry, you know, then I think in my mind, it would point back to, you know, did we adequately listen to what folks had to say? You know, in terms of the creation of the document in the first place, you know. That was kind of anecdotally, I think what I heard, you know, when I first came here was that folks came out and pointed out some very specific things in the comp plan that they didn't like, and those were ignored, and those became rallying cries for folks, and that's what, you know, Deep Six the plan. So, you know, so I think process-wise, it's going to be very important for us to listen, you know, to what folks have to say.
Is this supposed to be, is it supposed to be 2021 down here? Because you got September, start work, spring
Some
2020,
fall.
December,
You know what?
and then this is supposed to be 2021 down here.
That's a good point. Yeah, you are right. Dan,
Like,
Dan was right.
I'm at the presentation.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Jeff, for having us back.
Right, your 2021 stays the same.
All right.
I was like, how do you do that?
Public engagements and.
I was on the cart before the horse.
That's right. No, thank you.
Oh, that's 21,
Yes.
right, the last 3 dates.
Yeah.
I said, man, how are we gonna do that? It's only-
Yeah.
it's almost June 20.
Well, that was my follow-up question
Yeah.
to Paul's, like, do you think this is a reasonable amount of time, 6 months to do this?
Right. No.
Well, yeah, we did have consultants, and they did put 2003, 5, and they both
Right.
failed.
Yep,
But at the end of the day, a lot of their work passed,
Right.
yes,
once it was massaged
yep,
and
yeah.
I think at the time, I think Jamie and Andy, I forget, we got all the guidance from at the time when you were joining us, but when we switched to just sending each chapter out one by one, it was the right thing to do at that time,
Yep.
instead of trying to pass.
Yes, it made it,
Read all this and vote,
it made it easier.
It made it easy for people to digest
Mhm.
and see that there wasn't a lot of stuff in here. And then the real concern over the land use chapter and the economic chapter was.
My understanding is that really one of the biggest things that really killed it was the suggestion that the rural area should have a minimum 10-acre lot size. You know, that
Oh,
was,
my
Yep.
goodness.
I mean, that was, you
That
know, I
was
mean, you throw that in there
The
and
Warwick Goose Rock size,
The
so,
word what?
the Warwick Goose Rock Beach Fire Station. It
Oh, that's where
literally,
the discussion was.
yep.
literally thought we were going to have a brawl. But it was a packed,
That's a big wall.
it was a packed house,
It
it was
is.
standing outside the door,
Yeah.
and.
Right. And that's huge, and I guess it just goes back to my point, you know, if you have, you know, public sessions and you're getting that level of animosity towards something, then clearly, you know, you need to listen to the stakeholders better.
Yes.
And even though you may have a plan that, follows the planning book by the book, well, it doesn't do you any good if you can't get the community to buy into it.
And they weren't buying.
So my expectation then of the consultant would be that they'd be advising us, that, if we went and had these listening sessions and everyone said, we never got more than 3 acre lots, and we said, we really think we got a 10.
Right.
That the consultant said, did you guys?
Yeah, did you not listen?
Right.
I'm here to tell you that
That's
that's not
right.
gonna fly.
Yeah.
That's what I would expect them to do.
Yep.
So, maybe that's one of the interview questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you see us doing something stupid,
You're at a fire station, an acre lot scenario comes up, would you A, would you B?
Yeah, Gary Lamb saved the day.
Did you want us, did we change the A
Yeah,
back?
he did. He
Yeah,
stood up, got the crowd calmed down,
yep.
and we were able to peaceably walk home.
Good. And vote another day.
That's right.
It really was.
But yeah, so I think those are, those are the kinds of things that, that we'll just have to be aware of, and I think this group will work well with the public in that regard, so.
Okay. Any other discussion on the survey review? Okay. So next is other business. Anyone have other business to bring up?
You're presenting this on
I'll
Thursday.
present it on Thursday.
Thursday.
Anyone else want to join me on Thursday?
I don't know.
You're welcome to. You want to tell me now and show up?
What time is it?
6 p.m.
6 starts 6, and where are you on the agenda, do you know?
I don't. Where are we on the agenda?
It looks to be a relatively short agenda, so I wouldn't, don't show up at 7:30 or 6:30. Yeah,
6 p.m.
6.
either at 6.
I did one time.
Well, that's right.
Gone.
Right.
Yeah.
I did it at the budget when I showed up at 7. I was like, it's done. At 6.
Well done.
Okay. I'll put it right here on this thing. 6 p.m. All right. Okay, hearing no.
Hearing no other business.
next-
we
next-
adjourn.
Oh, we gotta do it next meeting.
Oh, you gotta do it next meeting. So,
Right.
I know I'm here the first week in June, and then I'm not. So,
First week in June is normally our
yeah,
I think it's the 4th.
so the 4th.
the 4th. First Tuesday.
Will we have agenda item?
remember that's Kennebunkport Festival, so.
So, I have just one other item that I want to bring up.
Okay.
And this is something that, that Dan and I have been speaking a little bit about, is that, you all have talked about as a group having a list of responsibilities that are in the comp plan, and Dan started, put together the list, spreadsheet as far as getting input from all the different groups and departments as far as their individual responsibilities, and just getting some feedback as far as, whether those have been accomplished, whether or not those are still important, should we keep them, should we add any, that type of questionnaire. So, we do have a summer intern that's gonna be, working in the office with us, and so I felt that project in particular would be a good intern project as far as putting together, that individual correspondence to each one of the committees and groups, and to start that process of getting that feedback back. So, so we'll be working on that over the summer, that as one of those tasks, so that, again, the plan being is that by the time we, select a consultant, we'll have that'll be another nice chunk of data,
Right.
that can be handed off.
Who's that gonna come from, though? It can't come from an intern.
No, it'll come from me.
Okay.
Come from me, us,
Yeah.
One of my-
I mean,
I'm looking for admin,
Yeah.
it's,
no, I understand, yeah.
it's admin.
Because this admin wasn't getting to it. So,
Yeah, it's admin support for that task.
yeah,
Great.
this admin wasn't getting to it. Yes, hopefully we'll meet with her.
Yeah, so, just in terms of thinking of, next agenda items, my sense is that really we're looking at, our looking at consultants, and so June 30th, if we're looking at shortlist consultants, week of July 8th would be the interview for that shortlist. My concern is that, we're not gonna really have a lot more information by June, was it 4th?
June 4th, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm traveling the next 3 weeks after that, so
The
I won't be
18th.
available again until July.
Are you gonna,
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the agenda items could be for the 4th, or could be for, if you guys wanted to meet in the middle of, end of the month, or third Tuesday of the month, or if you wanted to wait until beginning of July. Would be a discussion of getting interview questions together.
Yeah.
Beginning
Yep.
of July,
So, I mean, what's,
July 2?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, July, are folks traveling? Thanks to July.
July 2, in
Yeah.
place of June 4?
July 2nd would work.
Okay.
I mean, and we could do one of the off Tuesdays as well. The only, and that would work. Those would work fine for me. On those dates, we have the village parcel steering committee that will meet before, so it
Okay.
kind of dovetails back into that.
On the second, you're talking about? Werner?
So I'm looking at, village parcel is meeting on the 11th. This is in June.
Well, we're not meeting
the
on the
25th.
11th because we're voting.
Okay, yep, that's right, yeah, because we're up at the police department for that one. All right, so that's out. The 25th. And then, then we're into July, for the second.
Yeah, I mean, I can't make the 25th, so I'll leave it to you folks, the rest of the board, if you want to meet then, that's fine. If you want to go to July 2nd, I'm here.
July 2.
Yep, July 2nd?
Yeah,
July 2.
Okay.
it works.
Okay. All right. So that's our next meeting. There's nothing else on the agenda after that, so
So
there was a motion on the table.
he's going to
I
do
seconded it.
I'm waiting.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. It's been seconded before it was motion, but I'll take that as a second. And
Aye.
all right, thank you much. So I'll make that